Hey everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial video. In today's video, we're going to show you how to get started building your very own Web3 mobile apps using thirdweb. An overview of what we're going to be covering in this video. We'll take a look at our React Native Expo starter template, which we're going to show you how to get started with in this video. Then we're going to go ahead and show you how to clone the template, get started with it, and go through some of the functions and features that you can use within the React Native SDK. So with that being said, let's take a look at the computer here. Let's take a look at the demo template that we can get started with. So right over here, this is the thirdweb playground template. This is actually what you can get started with when you get started with the thirdweb React Native SDK. So we're going to go through a few of the things that you can see here and some of the functions and features that you get with this and what we're going to be going through later on in this video. So the first thing is the connect wallet button. So of course, when you build a Web3 application, the first thing you're going to need to do is connect a user to your app. And this is normally through something like a wallet. So right here, we have the connect wallet button. This is a button and UI component that you get out of the box. It's turnkey, ready to go. We can hit this. Right here, you're gonna see the default button. This is gonna come with some things like in-app wallets, which allow you to connect via social login, email, phone number, passkey. You can also choose from over 350 different Web3 wallets that we support. So we can sign in with something like Google here, which will take us to our Google sign-in. We'll connect this. We'll select our account, and that will spin us up a wallet and actually connect it to our application here. So this takes care of the pain points of having to toggle back and forth between wallet apps if you're on a mobile device. If you ever used a Web3 mobile app before and you had to connect to something like your MetaMask wallet and it takes you back and forth, it's not the best user experience. So being able to do things with like in-app wallets really takes away and abstracts that complexity out of Web3 mobile apps. So we have that. We also have the option for connect embed. So you can use things like auth or sign in with Ethereum, where if you want, to make sure your user is authenticated prior to being able to access your application, you can use like a connect embed. So instead of showing them a button, you can show an embed like this on a login page or something and make sure the user is authenticated prior to being able to gain access to the application. Or you can utilize some of our hooks here, which we're going to go over, and you can basically build out your own custom UI, your own custom connect flow, however you want to design and create the flow to onboard users. You can use some React hooks here to easily be able to build that. Right here we have read, and this is going to allow us to read on-chain data. This is actually super easy to do. We'll go through a few different React hooks as well, like use read contract hook, which we can just supply any function name that we want to call a read function on a smart contract, and we can get the data of the value that's returned along with use contract events. So we can look up things like, in this case, this example is pulling up all of the USDC transfer events on this USDC contract, and you can see we can display and get that data as well. So it's super easy and quick to read on-chain data. But on top of reading on-chain data, we want to be able to execute and transact on-chain data. So you can see here we have transactions. We have the use send transaction hook that we're going to go over, which allows you to build and execute on-chain transactions or write functions here. So you can see here, this is actually a mint button to mint this NFT. I can hit mint, and you'll notice that for this transaction, I actually won't need to pay for any gas because I have things like account abstraction and a paymaster enabled. So right over here, I don't have to sign any transactions or pay for gas because all of that is going to be taken care of for me. So again, you don't have to swap back and forth between mobile apps, like confirming transactions on your wallet and everything. You can keep all the user experiences in one spot right here on your application. And those are a few of the things that we're going to go over. We're going to show you how to get this template cloned and up and ready to get you started on building Web3 mobile apps. And then we'll show you the code for each one of these snippets here. So first thing we're going to do is just jump into our terminal. We'll create and clone the template here, and we'll show you how to get started. So right here, this is the Expo starter repo that we're going to be cloning and getting started with. It's actually the same exact template that we just went over in the demo right before this. We'll link this down in the description below. But if you are, or if you want to use thirdweb CLI to easily get started with this, that's what we're going to do here. So I have my terminal open and I'm going to run npx thirdweb create app. And this is how you can get started with any of our starter templates if you want to start building Web3 apps. We just need to name our project here. I'm just going to name this mobile test. And then you can select the framework that you want to use. So right down here, we're going to select React Native, and this is going to get us started with an Expo project and template. So you can see here, it's going to download all the files needed for us here. And once this is done, we can open this up in our code editor. So there we go. Once that's done, we'll move into our mobile test here. And then let me just clear this to the top. We'll open this up. I'm going to be using Cursor as my editor here, but you can open this up in any of the editors that you want to use. All right, and once I have that opened, the first thing we're going to do is set up our thirdweb client ID. So in our files here, you'll see this .env.example file. We're actually going to rename this really quick here, get rid of the .example, and then we're going to get our client ID here. So coming to thirdweb's dashboard, we're going to come to the settings tab. And in the settings tab here, you'll see API keys, and then we can create an API key here. You can name this here, so we'll just call this our mobile test. Mobile, I can spell test. You can put in your allowed domains that you want to allow for your API key. For this tutorial, we're just going to hit allow all domains and hit create. And then this is just a warning because I did that. I'm going to hit proceed. And this is going to generate me a client ID secret key pairing here. You'll see this little warning down here to not expose your secret key and that it can't be recovered. So if you ever do lose your secret key, you have to generate a new key pairing here. I'm just saying that I have confirmed that I secured my secret key here, and then we'll come back and get the client ID as well. So once I hit complete here, you're gonna see we'll come to our mobile test here. And now in the mobile test, if we scroll down just a little bit, you'll see domain restrictions and how we have all domains set. Now, if you are using or building a mobile app or a game, mobile game, you're gonna have to set your bundle ID restrictions as well here. So this is where you'll put your bundle IDs that you use to build your mobile apps. You'll provide that in there too for access to your API keys. Now I'm just gonna select all bundled IDs here and hit save. But again, you can put your specific bundle IDs in there. Then I'm gonna come back up here, copy my client ID, come back to my app and paste that into that .env file under the Expo public thirdweb client ID. And we'll go over where this client ID is being used as well. So once we have that set, we'll close that out. And that's really all you need to do to get started with this template. Now, I'm gonna go over one more thing, and that's if we come back to our repo here, you can follow these steps as well within the repo if you want to follow those. But it's the exact same thing that we're going over in this video. Now there is a troubleshooting here, and there is an open SSL error if you're using Xcode 16. So if you're running this on an iOS simulator or an iOS device, and you're using Xcode 16 to build your application, you may run into this error. And this is the fix if you ever run into that issue. So you can see here, we just need to add the extra pods version for Open SSL Universal. So what that is if you come back to your editor here, we'll come to this app.json file because I will be running this on an iOS simulator. Under this iOS section here, we need to add the extra pod settings here. So we'll copy this, we'll come right down here and we're gonna add here extra pods. The name, we're gonna provide the Open SSL Universal here and provide the version of 3.3.3 2000. So with that, we're gonna hit save, and then we'll also come down to the plugins down here, and under the iOS extra pods, we can just get rid of that here. We don't need that for now. We'll save that, and now we have everything set, and we can run our application here. So I'm going to come back to my simulator here. I'm just going to close out this app and delete this app off my simulator here. And now we'll go ahead and build out the template that we just cloned here. So I'm going to open up my terminal. First thing I'm going to run is npx expo prebuild. And what this is going to do is it's going to pre-build our iOS and Android build. So you'll see that it's going to give you an Android and iOS folder here, install all of the necessary pods and everything for iOS. And the one thing to note here is it's in our documentations here, but I'll go over it. If you are running the development build here, Expo Go currently isn't supported. And that's just due to some conflicts between Expo Go's wrapper and thirdweb's. And what you'll have to do is make sure that you run this as a normal development build instead of using Expo Go. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to use that, but you can still run it. You just have to use a normal development build. And we'll go over it really quickly here. So once that is built and we have our iOS and Android folders, we're going to run this on iOS here. So I'm going to do run npx expo run iOS. And this is going to create that development build for us and run it on our iOS simulator. And I'll show you right after this starts building on if you are using Expo Go, there is a quick toggle where you can toggle to development build instead. And you can see here now we are finishing our build here. It's installing it into our simulator. But if I scroll up just a little bit here, you can see Metro Bundler. If you scroll a little bit down, and you can see here we are using the development build. Now, if you want to switch to Expo Go, you can just toggle it by using the S key, and that will switch you to Expo Go, or vice versa, right? If you see that you're on Expo Go here, you're going to have to use the development build. So you can just use the S key to switch, and you want to make sure that you are currently using the development build on that, and you'll be able to view it and run the application on your simulator. All right, and once we have it built, we should get it to pop up right here in our simulator. You can see the thirdweb playground. We're just gonna close this, and you should have that same exact template that we saw earlier when we demoed it out. So again, in here, you're gonna have things like connect wallet, which are gonna allow you to sign in with the in-app wallet, which is like social logins, email, phone number, or passkey. Or you have your wallet options down here as well, where you can see all the different wallet options that you can select from. We support over 350 different wallets, so users can, choose their own wallets and everything here, and you can choose MetaMask and everything. Now, in the simulator, you're not going to be able to connect with a MetaMask wallet just because I don't have the MetaMask app installed on my simulator here, but we can test it out and take advantage of things like in-app wallet, which when it comes to Web3 mobile apps is a better user experience because a user doesn't need to leave their application or anything. And then pairing that up with things like account abstraction to pay for the gas for your users is also another beneficial thing you can do. So again, we can sign in with something like our Google account here. So we're gonna have our Google account here. We'll select our email, and then that will generate, again, spin us up and generate us a wallet and connect it here to our application. And from here, we can send and receive funds. We can view the chain and everything we're on. You can see here that this is actually a smart account. This actually has account abstraction attached to it. And then we can disconnect our wallet and everything from our app. So now that we have our template up and running, let's take a look at some of the template code and see how easy it is to start building Web3 applications. So coming here, I'm just going to close my terminal here, and we're going to come into the app folder, and we're going to go into our tabs, and we're going to go into the index.tsx file. And this is going to be the homepage file that we were just looking at previously in our demo. I'll actually bring it out right over here so we can take a look at our demo side to side with this. So if we scroll down a little bit here, you're going to see a few different things. The first one that we're going to come across is the connect button component here. Now, the great thing about React Native SDK is once we have everything set up with the thirdweb SDK, you can actually use everything from our React SDK. So interacting with things like our connect button, interacting with things like reading data from our smart contracts using our React hooks, or sending transactions using our React hooks as well. All of those you can do exactly the same in React Native as you would have in React. So here you can see adding a connect button is super simple. We add the connect button UI component. We create ourselves a client, which is for us in this template. If we come to our files and we come to the constants folder and we go to thirdweb.ts, you can see here, this is where we're grabbing our client ID from the .env file that we just created, or that we added our client ID to. And we're creating our client right over here using the create thirdweb client, and we supply it with and provide it with our client ID here, and that creates us this client variable that we can use, which is going to allow us access to the Connect SDK. Down here as well, we have a couple contracts, like an NFT contract and our USDC contract that we can interact with. And if we come back to the index.tsx here and we scroll down, you can see the default connect button. It does require us to provide our client, so we can provide it the client from that file. We can also provide it wallets that we want to display, so we can actually configure those wallets and how we want it to appear in our application. And if you come over to playground.thirdweb.com, you can actually come to the button section here, and you can play around with the connect button playground. You can visually customize what the modal will look like, and you can then just take the code snippet from it and plug it into your application and get that same theming and customization that you built right here in the playground. So again, a nice visual way where you can customize what you want displayed here. So if we don't want in-app wallets, we can turn that off. You can check off wallets and everything that you want to show, but you have all of that customization right here, and it's a visual way, again, for you to see, take the code snippet, plug it into your application. And then right over here, right below that, you can see the chain. We can set the chain that you want to connect your application or your wallet to. Now, by default, it can connect to the chain that you supply here. This right now is connecting to base Sepolia. But we can change this to regular Sepolia if we wanted to. You can see we can import that from thirdweb chains. We'll save that, and we'll actually come back to our app here. So if I connect my wallet and I connect back here again, let's connect our Google account. You can connect to the chain of your choice. And this is great because at thirdweb, we support any EVM compatible chain. You just have to define the chain that you want to connect to. So right over here, you can see we're connected to Sepolia. And that's just by changing the chain that we want our connect button is connecting to right over here. Now you can also come to thirdweb.com/chainlist. And again, all these links will provide it down in the description below. And these are all the chains that we are going to support here. So again, any EVM compatible chain, we can come down here and maybe we want to connect, let's select a testnet here. So we can come chain type, we'll go testnet. So we can look at all the different testnets here. You can see here we have the Unichain Sepolia testnet. We can actually just take the chain ID here. And under here, we have some predefined chains for popular chains out there. But say you're using a chain, or maybe you're using your own custom chain and we don't have it predefined already in thirdweb's SDK. You can just use the define chain here. And all you need to do is supply it with your chain ID. That is a chain ID of that chain. Then we can come back here and we'll just disconnect here really quick. And now when we reconnect, we'll select our email right here. We'll connect our wallet back to our account, but you can see here we are connected to the Unichain Sepolia testnet. So again, we support any EVM compatible chain. All you need to do is just define the chain that you want your application to connect to. And again, you can use the predefined chains that we have within our SDK, or if you're using your own chain or maybe one that isn't already predefined within the SDK, you can use define chain here and supply it with your chain ID and easily be able to connect to those chains. At the same time, if we look down here in the define chain, you can customize fully how you want to connect to that chain, so you can supply the ID, and if you have your own RPC, and you can also provide the native currency as well on that chain. So you have full customization to provide your own information for the chain you want to connect to. Down here, you can see we have another connect button, which is this connect button right over here. This is if you want to customize the look and feel of the connect button. Again, you can use the playground, you can customize it visually, go to the code tab and just copy the code snippet, and you can paste it within here, and that will give you the same looking connect button that you created. Down here, we also have the connect embed, which is this right over here. So instead of a connect button, like I mentioned earlier in the demo, you can create an embed. You can use things like our auth or sign in with Ethereum. And that's going to give you basically, you can create like a login page or anything that, is gated in front of your application. So users need to be able to authenticate and sign in prior to being able to access your application. You can create that all right here. And with auth is super easy to set up as well. We have a few other tutorials and everything that go into how to set up auth. We'll link that down in the description if you want to check that out. But you can, again, use things like sign in with Ethereum to basically be able to authenticate users prior to being able to use your application. So you can use connect embed if you're looking to create some type of splash screen for them to log into. And then further down here, again, last thing is if you want to fully build your own custom UI to connecting a user. Right over here, we hit disconnect. You can see you can build your own UIs and everything here. If I scroll down here to custom, what do we have? Custom connect UI. So right over here, custom connect UI. You can see we can use the you can see right here we use the these are going to be sign in with Google, so we'll come back into sign in with Google here. You can see this uses the use connect hook here, and with use connect we can create a function here, a connect function, that we supply how we want that button to function. What do we want it to connect to, how we want it to connect, and you can customize and build your own UI components. That way, you don't have to use the out-of-the-box default connect button. You can create your own flow and UI for all of this as well. So we give you the tools to customize your own, as well as if you just want something quickly out of the box and ready to go, you can use the connect button. We'll next go over the reading on-chain data. So we'll come over to the read.tsx file here. And this is going to be very similar again to the React SDK, because we can use the same React hooks that we would. So here you can see we use the use read contract hook here, and we can call on any contract, and we can call any method from that contract and read that function from, or read that data from the smart contract itself. And if you don't know how exactly to do that, or what to put in for the method or anything, a really quick and easy way is if you come to your dashboard, and let's just select a contract here. So let's just say I selected this contract. This is just a simple counter smart contract. But if I come over to the Explore tab and I wanted to read a specific function like getting the count, I can actually come to the Explore tab, go under my read functions, select the function that's going to get the data and read the data from my smart contract. And right over here, you can see we have the different frameworks that you can select from. So we can select React Native here, and it's going to give us how to use the use React hook here. So you can see here, it's using use React hook. We've supplied our contract, and then we call this method right over here. It doesn't take any parameters here, and that is going to return us back the result here, which would be 18 in this case. And it gives us, and you can just take this code snippet here, copy it, plug it into your React Native application right over here, just like this. So you can see here, use read contract, calling on the contract, which in this case is stored in this thirdweb.ts file. And we're calling this method right over here. And then with that, you can display that data within your application and everything, just like we do. And you can do that just like how we're doing here. And when we read the contract name, which is the function that we're calling right here, function name, and returns a string, it returns us the name of the contract, which in this case is going to return us the OpenCats value right over here. And the same thing you can do with contract with events. We have a use contract events hook, which you can provide it the contract, the event that you are looking for, and then the block range of the events that you want to search within. So again, you can pull contract events as well if you want to display things like, in this case, we're displaying live USDC transfers. So we're looking for the transfer event here, and we're displaying all of that information here. And that's how easy it is to read on-chain data and display it within your applications. Again, I would say two main hooks you're going to be using is the use read contract hook and then the use contract events hook, depending on what data you want to be pulling and displaying in your app. So reading on-chain data is one thing, but what about executing that data or executing transactions? And that's where you can use the use send transactions hook. So we'll come to the write.tsx1 file right over here, and we'll come down and you can see here the right section. So right here in the right section, we're using the use send and confirm transaction hook, which is the same exact hook again from our React SDK. This is going to allow us to send and execute transactions. And from here, we can create, we're storing this as a send mutation here. So in this mint function, we are calling the send and confirm transaction hook here. We're calling a claim to extension, and essentially extensions are precompiled functions that execute things on like already standardized contracts. So things like ERC20, 721, 1155. Claim to is going to call the claim to function. We just supply the contract we want to call it from, the quantity, and the address we're sending it to. And that's really simple here. And this is a simple claim function to claim an NFT from an ERC 721 or 1155 contract. You can see how easy that is to implement into a Web3 mobile app. So we can interact with things on chain super easy. And then we just apply this function here to a button, which we can see here. On themed button on press, we'll call the mint function here. Now, how is the user again paying for gas to execute these functions and everything? That's where in the index.txx file, in the index file here, under the connect button, the wallets here. So if we come up to our wallets option here, in our wallets option, the in-app wallets here has smart accounts enabled. So with thirdweb's account abstraction tooling and using smart wallets, we can specify that we want those smart wallets connected. You can see here in this case, it's being deployed to base Sepolia, and we want to sponsor gas set to true. So with gas sponsorship true, we're utilizing things like Paymaster, which we get through account abstraction and ERC 4337, which allows us to sponsor gas for the user. So the developers on our end, we're going to be paying for the gas, while the user doesn't need to interact or pay for gas fees on their end. So they can sign in with a new wallet, not have to fund it, and execute transactions on chain. Now there's a bunch of other things that you can do with account abstraction as well. You can set limitations and parameters to the rules and everything that a user can spend gas on certain contracts, certain functions, and all of that you can actually configure within the thirdweb dashboard. So again, coming back to our demo app here, again, that goes over being able to connect a user, being able to read data on chain, and being able to execute transactions. And with those three things, you're going to be able to build any Web3 mobile app that you want to be able to build. Connect, super useful to use things like in-app wallets, and account abstraction to handle things like wallet generation and wallet connecting, to being able to sponsor the gas fees and funds for your users, easily be able to read any on-chain data, and easily be able to execute any transaction on-chain, especially when you're using things like account abstraction and smart wallets. Being able to execute transactions and not have to navigate or switch applications for your users on a mobile application is a big plus for user experience. So there you have it. That was a quick video on how to get started building Web3 applications using thirdweb. Using our React Native SDK, you're able to quickly generate and connect wallets for your users, along with utilizing things like account abstraction to pay for gas or sponsor gas. You can also use a lot of the tools and functionalities from our React SDK within the React Native SDK, and you can build these seamless Web3 user experiences for mobile. So again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you don't miss out on more tutorial videos just like this. If you have any questions or you need any support, again, we'll drop all the links mentioned in this video down in the description. We'll also drop a link to our support team where you can open up a support ticket, and they'll be happy to help you out and answer any of your questions. Again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video, and until next time, see ya.